I think that I learned that there's so many more things and opportunities available to me that I really thought. Because even though the world's a big place, it's also a small place. And there's nothing stopping me from just going to other than the government. There's nothing stopping me from just going to another country and experiencing things there. And I think it kind of really opened my mind about, I guess, the possibilities that my future could have.
Hello, everyone. Today I'm ready to welcome my next guests, Ruben and Simona, who spent a whole year in Japan. If you're as interested as me to hear about their life changing experience, keep watching. Welcome back to the second part of our episode where we cover the topic of Ruben and Simona doing their internship in Japan. Tell me, how did that happen?
Well, since we'd already spent our minor in Japan,
Mm-hmm.
we'd already like made connections with people and we already knew people. And so even though we didn't really have much success like applying through LinkedIn or websites and job boards, because we knew people in Japan that could that was kind of able to help us find an internship through like knowing people. Um, and if you are looking for an internship in Japan, I really recommend doing your minor there first. Not just because you're gonna be more adapted and know the language better, but also if you're already there, it's a lot easier. You've already got your boots on the ground. You can go to an interview. You can talk to people. It's a lot easier than having to do it from a distance.
And through where did you make these connections? The university
Yeah.
or
The university.
okay. So in a way they could help you with that.
Well, it wasn't exactly the university.
So it's something that you did.
We
So
met someone at
we knew
university.
people
Okay, I
from the
see.
university who
Mm.
were then able to help us find an internship. But the university themselves didn't actually like find the internship for us.
Okay, that's important to note.
Yeah.
Um, so is the procedure for applying the same CV, motivation letter, interview, or is there something different?
We only applied with our resumes. There wasn't a
Yeah.
motivational letter,
Mhm.
and we got an interview where we had to introduce ourselves in Japanese so that they can see we have some knowledge.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the talk continued in English once it got a
Yeah.
little more complicated.
So they do insist that you know at least a bit of Japanese.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
you have to know Japanese.
What was the type of company that you went to? What did they do?
It was a tools company, so they sell like tools that you can build stuff with,
Ah,
machinery,
tools. Okay, yeah.
equipment. Yeah, that type.
And what was your position in the company?
We were market research interns.
So you would research different marketing entry strategies, or
Yeah.
For example,
For
we also
example.
like surveyed the people who like were going in the store. Basically every person in the store in Japanese, we were like surveying them. So we made like a Google survey. We translated to Japanese and then we asked them questions and got them to fill out the survey. And then we use that data to like find out stuff about who the clients are, what they want,
mm-hmm.
you know. And we probably found stuff that
Yeah.
not probably, we
helpful.
properly found stuff that
Yeah, they told us, for example, they didn't know that there was such a like big amount of the customers that work in construction.
Yeah.
So now they're starting to focus more on providing construction tools and equipment.
and like focusing on the construction market because they thought
Yeah.
that their main clientele were like auto mechanics,
Mm-hmm.
but a huge chunk there, actually the biggest chunk was from construction.
Oh, so you did pretty good then. Was it hard to conduct a survey in Japan?
It wasn't as hard as we expected,
Yeah.
actually. The people were really friendly.
Mhm.
We were expecting that we would get like rejected.
Yeah.
Real cross.
Yeah.
Mhm.
They would start running away, but it didn't happen because
No.
they're very polite. So they were like, yeah, okay, we can help, and answered. Out of 50 surveys, only 5 people like didn't want to answer it.
Oh, that's a pretty good number because now, for the people who are in third semester, we have to do a survey, and it's hell.
Yeah.
It's no one really knows how to do it.
Well,
not getting answers. So it's good that the people were open to this.
well, it's easier when you're like there physically.
Mhm.
Just every time someone walks into a store and you're representing the store, and you're like, "Hey, can we ask you like a 5 minute?" It wasn't even 5 minutes. It was a really short survey.
Yeah.
So and
And
then
we speak in Japanese to them.
yeah. So
That would help a lot as well.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think if we spoke in English, they'd be too scared, and they would just
Yeah. When we were representing the company at an automobile event,
Mhm.
we spoke English one of the days, and I could see that we were scaring
yeah.
the Japanese like customers passing by. And once we switched to Japanese,
It went much better. Yeah.
they were more comfortable like approaching and
Yeah.
If you could manage to go through your minor without knowing Japanese for your internship, is that possible or no?
no.
I
No.
don't see that happening.
Okay. That's good note as well.
But yeah, also, yeah, I mean, I think they're very polite, and even like the way they say like no, right? Like it's really common, saying no is too direct, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like the way they say it is they just say, it's a bit, and then that's it. They just stop the sentence because Japan is really like high context communication culture.
Okay. Oh,
And
that's
so,
nice.
yeah, Erin Maya culture map, high context communication. And so like a lot of the time they just end the sentence halfway through the sentence, and then you're expected to know what they're saying.
And this was really convenient in the beginning where we couldn't convenient, yeah.
Yeah.
Where we couldn't speak that much Japanese. So we would say like half the sentence and then stop. And
And
the
they go,
people would understand.
yeah, it's like,
Because
like,
that's normal to do. You just
Okay,
stop
that's
mid sentence.
it's like, yeah, I'm just feeling really warm because, oh, yeah, it's stuff like that,
Okay,
like,
yeah.
so even when they're saying like no, there's like, it's a bit, because you can't just say no because it's,
Mm-hmm.
too
Too rude
too
for them.
direct,
Yeah.
yeah, it's too rude.
So you have to read through the lines a bit.
Oh, yeah.
And
Okay.
not being able to say no kind of reminds me of is when you go to the convenience store, in Japan, uh, one of the first things you'd learn in basically any country is how to say, "Do you want a bag with that?" Right? It's just a really common, thing you learn.
Yeah.
And so the store buying it, and then they say, "No, fukudo irimasu ka? Did you want a bag?" And then we say, "Yes," and then they just look at us like, "What?" "Yes." Oh, and then they're like, "Oh, okay, yeah, it was back." And for like a really long time, we're like, or if you say no, and they're just like, and I was like, "What do you mean? I'm saying yes to the question. I'm saying no to the question." But
Not
then
normal to just say yes or no. If
Oh,
you
so that was the problem.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's not
Okay.
like the regular response that you use, and so they don't know how to like react to the information we just gave them, because you're supposed to either say like, "I need a bag," so you don't say like yes, you say like, "Yes, I like not yes," but you say, "I need the bag,"
Mm-hmm.
or you say, "I'm all good."
Mm-hmm.
And so if you just say yes or no, it's like, you know, it just doesn't work. And so
For them, yeah.
so they get really confused. And it took us like a month to figure out like why
What's wrong?
every time we go to the store, they look at us like, they have no idea what we're saying, and it's like the first word you learn, you know.
Okay, that's on the funny side actually.
Yeah.
It sounds funny. Going back on the topic of the internship, how was the dynamic in the team?
It was pretty chill. Everyone was really friendly, and there wasn't like any overtime. That's like what someone would think of when they hear working in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of
But
horror stories out there.
yeah,
Yeah, they are.
but for us wasn't like this. We were sometimes allowed to work from home too.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, it was like a hybrid type setup.
Mhm.
But yeah, they're really nice. The vibe was very relaxed and casual, not just with the way they treated us, but also the other workers in the store. Everyone was like in a good mood all the time, and everyone was really, relaxed. And I think it was a very like, I don't know, modern company that, yeah, it was really nice dynamic actually. Though with the dynamic again, coming back to the language, uh, most people didn't speak any English.
There were only three
Oh.
people speaking English.
And that English wasn't, the type of English that we're speaking right now.
Mm-hmm.
other than like the CEO who spoke like proper English.
Yeah.
Um, and then the rest were just, they spoke English, but it was, difficult to
Yeah.
communicate.
Speaking of the CEO, what interactions did you have with them and with your other leaders?
Um, yeah, we actually had a lot of interactions with the CEO.
Mhm.
Um, Even though it's like a fairly big company, they had, like 14 stores. It's like a medium-sized company.
Mm-hmm.
But because the connection knew the CEO, and so,
He was
he,
there at the interview.
yeah,
Yep. On our first day at work, he also like visited to see how we're doing. Then we got invited to one of his radio shows.
yeah, he has a radio
Oh.
show on like TBS, which is like a big, you know, network, for like TV and radio. And so he has like a podcast. He has a he
Whoa.
has a podcast, and so we got to just sit in the background while he was like doing his like podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that like so we got to see the full like professional setup, um, and it was really cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, just sit in the background.
So you had a sneak peek beforehand.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's good. Was it hard for you to integrate into the company?
No, I would say no. We expect it to be harder, but they were very welcoming.
I guess it depends.
That's why. Hmm?
I was gonna say, I guess it depends what you mean by integrate, right? Like, I mean, we were like the interns. It wasn't,
Mhm.
and because we weren't like fluent Japanese speakers, we were a little bit like separate in some ways. But we were welcome, and they knew who we were, and we had a clear role and like what we were doing. It wasn't like, we were, oh, who are you? What are you guys doing here? It was chill.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that made us a little bit separate.
Mm-hmm.
Again, the language.
But did you feel part of the team?
In the beginning, not really,
Yeah.
because I was like, am I really contributing here? Everyone knows
Yeah.
what to do.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, my first time
Mhm.
working in like a Japanese company and stuff. It's totally different and new environment. I felt like, what is it called? An imposter
Imposter
syndrome.
syndrome. Yeah, there's definitely some imposter syndrome going on.
And yeah, in the beginning it was a bit like that, but afterwards, talking with more people, seeing that like my work has like some meaning to the
Mhm.
company, especially with the survey where we
Yeah,
found out like stuff that was new.
I think
Uh,
that's like a turning point
yeah.
where like I feel like, oh, okay, I'm actually not just like a waste of space at this company,
Yeah,
like okay, this, we're actually contributing.
Mm-hmm.
that's good. And with all that being said, how would you describe the corporate culture?
I mean, of this specific company, very relaxed, I would say.
Yeah.
It's it's top down. Like there's, the CEO,
Yeah.
he has like a lot of control over like what goes on.
Mhm.
But then he still gives like freedom to the people. It seemed fairly chill.
Mm-hmm.
And the culture was like very positive. Um, and everyone was really nice. But yeah, it was still definitely top down. Like there's, clear power structure, and the different departments are like segmented. It's not all like working together, and that
Mhm.
it's not cross-functional, right?
Yeah. Um,
Um, so with the integration thing, I think the time, I kind of move into this topic now. The time that we really felt, I think most part of the team, at least I did, was when we went to the trade show. So we went to like a trade show for like automotive vehicles because,
Mhm.
we're a tools company. And so they want to sell tools to people and businesses and stuff because they do B2B and B2C. And then we were really like working in a team, because we were a lot of time kind of like left to do our research and, do our own thing. But here we're really working with the team, and really doing stuff. And I think that's when we really felt the most like, at least I felt the most integrated.
Me too.
Yeah. I think it was definitely the highlight, for me anyway, going and being part of this trade show and then talking to people from other businesses and, really using Japanese and,
That's when we used our best Japanese.
yeah,
And
that was like a peak Japanese skill.
Did you manage to make some connections there?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
did actually at a trade show. I think we made like 3
Yeah, yeah.
connections. Yeah.
And we made some, I made a sale in Japanese, which was really like
Oh,
Yeah, me too. I saw
yeah,
a
that's nice.
magazine. Yeah.
Good for you.
yeah,
And we got like 3 business cards.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
And the way you like get a
Oh,
business card, it's like a whole ceremony.
business cards are a big, business cards are a big thing in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They like pass it to you,
Wait.
and you have to like bow, and you like do this like transfer. You look at the business card, like talk about it. You can't just put it in your pocket.
Oh,
That's
okay.
very
It's
rude.
rude. Yeah.
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 And they have like business card holders,
Oh,
and that's a thing in itself. I saw someone with like a Louis Vuitton business card holder
fancy.
at the radio station thing. Yeah, because it's a really big thing, and you have to like pass each other the card at like the same time. So it's not like one person's going
Okay.
first. You pass the cards at the
And
same
with 2
time.
hands.
With
Can't. Oh
no, no,
yeah,
no. It's
but
one hand. It's one hand because you're both passing.
when you're doing and then you transition. No.
No, I
whatever.
don't think so. But in general, that's a real thing that when you pass something to someone, you should be using 2 hands because it's more like respectful. So like you can like take this, or it's like take it. That it is like more of like it's like more of a connection going on with the passing, and so it's more respectful. So
Yeah.
if you're in a store, they will always give you something with 2 hands.
It-
That's really important.
It just gives the impression that you actually pay more attention to the person, which is nice. It's respectful again.
Yeah.
Some themes here that
So is a business card something that I should have if I do my internship in Japan?
You could have it, but I wouldn't expect that you will be asked for your business card
Mm-hmm.
since you're like an intern.
And also
And-
a international intern,
Mhm.
they have a different expectation. It's kind of,
But when you go in events such as like this one,
it would be nice,
It would be nice.
it's
Yeah.
bonus points for
Mm.
sure. If you
Yeah.
have your own internship, if you have your own business card, then they're gonna be like impressed and you're gonna win some points with them. Like, oh, this international person got the business cards.
It
This
shows you
thing.
prepared.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And they love that.
That's
Mhm.
good.
Yeah, and this trade show was really really good
Mhm.
experience, I think.
Yeah.
This is like less of a personal development thing, but because it's a car trade show, right? And it was cool and lots of classic cars, whatever. But on the last day, all of the cars had to go out, right? And these are all old cars, so they're not like fuel efficient or whatever. And on the last day, the last few hours when everything's like leaving, the entire like venue was like toxic to be inside because there were so many fumes. Like I almost passed out. It was so terrible. I don't know how all of our coworkers were just still in there. We had to go get some air because it was just,
Yeah, we put face masks on and went out like every like couple of minutes.
had like
Yeah.
6 lozenges or something.
Oh
Mm.
no.
To like,
So it was really actually like bad air.
well, yeah, because it's like, like 50 classic cars
Yeah.
have all just left the venue and it's a building that's like closed in.
Yeah, it's. I want to ask you about the report that you had to write for Fontes.
Mhm.
What was the research topic that you chose?
My research topic was for market expansion into Bulgaria.
Mhm.
So I had to like, they were more interested into the marketing part of it. So I had to provide them more information about how they would advertise. Like, for example, in my report, like I wrote about the way they should advertise in
Mhm.
Bulgaria, and based on my research, I found that very like smiley advertising is not a good idea because smiling to like a random person on the street
Yeah.
in Bulgaria invokes distrust,
Mhm.
and so they shouldn't like approach the market with such type of advertising. And I made recommendations on how they should do it instead.
That's good. That's interesting. And what about your topic?
Mine was more about like a market entry into Australia, like a full like entry.
Mhm.
Because they were really interested in the Australian market, and as someone with an Australian background, they were really interested in like my insights, and so I did like a really big survey. I actually got a bunch of responses.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah, and
I also had to do a survey for the research.
Yeah.
yeah, and then based on that, I actually can't remember what my conclusions were that well, except one of the biggest things was that they should make an online platform
Mm-hmm.
that's accessible for Australians, because Australians like shopping online. And I really, at this moment, cannot remember what my findings were, but
It's fine.
I promise you
It's
they were
been time.
insightful and interesting.
We believe you.
And they liked it, but because we also presented our findings, of course, to the
Yeah.
company, and
Okay.
they found it like very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Did the company give you enough space and time and also resources, like internal resources, to conclude your research?
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
So they were
Mhm.
helpful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
mhm.
They were very
And
understanding.
Yeah, they were very interested
mhm.
in the research that we were doing.
And speaking of time, how long was the duration of your internship?
We did it for 3 months and a half.
Yeah, we did the
Oh.
minimum amount of time that you can do your internship for,
Yeah.
because most internships in Japan, especially English internships, are not paid.
Uh-huh. That was my next
So
question.
yeah,
But yeah,
um,
thank you for
the general, I've seen in my research that there are some internships that pay, but the majority of internships are unpaid, especially the type of internships that a student from Funties would be able to do.
mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's a really big thing to keep in mind. But at this point, we just really wanted to stay in Japan like
Yeah.
longer, because we just had such a great time in the mine. And we're like, we weren't originally going to do our internship in Japan. That was not our plan. But because we just enjoyed living in Japan so much, we switched to doing the internship there.
And you live there now as a person who works, but not a student. Was it hard to find accommodation in that way?
It wasn't.
No.
There were a lot of services that provide like short-term housing for foreigners, and
Mhm.
that's what we did. We went on I forgot the name of the website, but if
Oak
you
House.
Oak House, yeah. You just like type in the duration you want to stay, and it shows you different locations that are available in Tokyo, and sign a contract. That's it. It's really simple.
And we actually pay like the
Yeah.
same now that we do living in Heldorp, like near Eindhoven,
Mm-hmm.
that we were paying in middle of Tokyo
Oh,
Yeah.
for a
cool.
and for a bigger place
So now we live in a smaller place. We pay more,
with a
and we
yeah
live in a
in
small town.
small town with no public transport
Mm-hmm.
access.
Hmm.
And
And they're in Tokyo, bigger place. Everything's super convenient and close by, and we paid less.
yeah,
If I can ask this question, what is the amount of money that the rent is rounding around in Tokyo?
It
it
was
really
around,
depends.
yeah. It really depends in which neighborhood you're gonna be at. Are you gonna be close to the center?
Mm-hmm.
Are you gonna be in like the outside
Because again,
area?
Tokyo's massive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What we paid was 450 euro per person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, again, if you know Japanese, then you don't need to go through one of these services, and you can find like an actual place that's, uh cheaper, because there's no commission from the,
Yeah.
English service.
Okay, that's
So,
We
if
paid
you're
for the
like,
convenience.
yeah, we paid. It was a nightmare doing it in Japanese, translating things and trying to send messages.
yeah,
Um,
it's too much
yeah.
probably.
So I recommend doing it. Again, like, it's still cheaper than being here
Yeah.
most of the time, and it's
Oh, I'm listening if you have.
I just ran out of things to
Ah,
say, so I just
okay,
stopped.
it's okay.
In high context communication, it's like that is like a habit though. I do stop my sentences more, but
Hmm.
more out of like laziness than anything, because it's like acceptable to do, and then
Yeah.
And
The other
sometimes,
person knows,
yeah,
so
that's what I'm saying.
yeah.
It's like, just stop.
That's again so convenient. This word is going to be stuck with me for
Hmm.
a long time after this
I'd
episode.
love to make a word map. You take like the script of what we're saying, and there's like word clouds, right,
Oh,
with all
that,
the
yeah,
words together. Like how big convenient would be.
it would be like the
Yeah.
size of the roll.
Mhm.
Um,
Also, if you're uh going from the minor to the internship, and then of course you also have to move because
Mm-hmm.
get kicked out of the dorms. You have to be prepared to do a lot of admin work in the sense of you've got to change your registration from like, oh,
Uh-huh.
I'm here, so I've changed my address. Maybe you need to change your visa, um which they asked us to do, even though we didn't actually need to change the visa. They still asked us to change our, like the university asked us to change our visa
Uh-huh. Okay.
because, like, I guess the student visa is under the university's name. They don't want to be, like,
Mm-hmm.
be responsible for us
Yeah.
anymore. And so to do that, you have to go to, town hall, and they don't speak English there at all.
Okay.
Speaking of the town hall, that was one of my favorite places to visit and go practice my Japanese.
Yeah,
Yeah, if I go there, like if I go to a town hall in Bulgaria or here in the Netherlands, I don't find it as exciting because the
No.
people there don't want to be bothered to do
Mm-hmm.
their work. The attitude is a bit like, "Oh, you're making me do my work." And they
Yeah,
work down.
exactly.
But in Japan, they were so happy. They looked really happy, like they were super smiley. And when they would see that we're trying to speak in Japanese, they would become even friendlier and try to help us. And I don't know, I feel like that was the place where I loved going to practice Japanese.
well, it was really a test of like how much based on the first time when we first arrived in Japan going to town hall,
Mm-hmm.
which was a nightmare, versus by the time we were at the end and we're like signing out, we could really measure how much our Japanese was
Mm-hmm.
improving every time we would have to go get some admin work done.
How quick the process is getting done this time.
Yeah.
Yeah, how
That's
much we know what's going on.
that's
Yeah,
good.
or how little we use Google
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Translator.
Yeah. Um, Wrapping up the whole experience from both the minor and the internship, what is something that you learned about yourself spending that time in Japan?
And then that I like Wagyu or
I
beer. No.
I think that I learned that there's so many more things and opportunities available to me that I, really thought. Because even though the world's a big place, it's also a small place. And there's nothing stopping me from just going to another, other than the government. There's nothing stopping me from just going to another country
Yeah,
and, experiencing things there. And I think it kind of really opened my mind about, I guess, the possibilities that my future could have.
that's nice.
What I learned there is to live for the moment. It sounds a bit cliche, but it's what I saw the Japanese people do with like the way they don't walk and talk on the phone at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And I took it as the way I should live my mind, like be there and enjoy it. Like don't think about anything else. Like that's probably not probably these were the best 9 months of my life. And and I really made sure to enjoy it and remember everything and don't get distracted by other stuff.
Yeah, that's good. So you had great time there, and you would recommend with both of your hands.
Yes,
Very
absolutely.
strongly recommend if you get the opportunity to go.
From everything you heard, take the chance. This could be your best moments of your life. So go as far as you can, be open, and be mindful to the things around you. I hope this was as interesting to you as it was to me. Thank you for watching and listening. See you next time.